coming here and allowing us to share with you this system that we utilize here called Caspar AI. We utilize this for fall detection in your room. So it's a complement to our nurse call system, the pendants that you wear. Well, this is another layer of protection. Let's say, for instance, you get up in the middle of the night, for whatever reason, you fall, and you're unable to press your pendant. What this system does is it sends out an alert to the CNAs and the nurses that in room, and it's not going to have your name, it'll say room 502, potential fall incident. And the CNA and nurse will come render care. We're going to start training our CNAs and nurses on this system in May and actually launch it in June, the 1st of June. But I want you to be aware that this is a HIPAA compliant system. It's sensors that doesn't take any video. There's no audio with this whatsoever. It's literally tracking motion, and if you abruptly cross a plane and end up on the ground, it's going to send an alert. Now there are optional pieces to this system that I'm going to let Clark really get into, but there's also a component where you could utilize an Alexa with it to operate your lights. You can also utilize Alexa to adjust your thermostat as well in your room. We're not going to launch that piece in June. We're going to hold off a bit because we want to make sure the fall detection is properly trained and is functioning for a while before we make this, before we allow residents to opt in on the Alexa piece. But I'm going to let Clark share more about this, and we're just excited to be able to have this other layer of protection for our residents because we care and we don't ever want there to be an encounter where you're on the ground helpless and no one's there to help you. So.
What is the alarm system? I mean, what turns on when someone falls?
How does it work?
So what happens is when you fall, that system is going to send a signal to the nurses' phones. The nurses and CNA's phones, and it will escalate until someone arrives at your unit and gives you care.
Is it a camera then that records it?
It's not a camera at all. There's no picture, there's no audio. Think of an alarm system, like a security system in your home.
Oh, yes.
You have sensors on windows, you have sensors on doors. If you arm the system and someone opens a window or opens a door, it triggers. Where this system is always armed, if you fall abruptly, it triggers and sends an alert to a nurse and CNA.
Will there be a difference sounds for the nurse so that she can identify that is for somebody who just fell or?
So the alert on the phone itself. So the notification I think can be set on the actual phone of like what the pinging noise is, or if it's a loud noise that can be adjusted and changed so they can differentiate the two.
How will they know which room?
So on the alert itself, it'll say the room number. It won't have your name, but it'll just say the room number.
Yeah, part of the neat thing about the technology that's installed in your apartments by the head of your bed, there's behind the nightstand, you'll see a little white box that's against the wall. It's probably about the size of a CD case. And that's the brain of the system. That's what we call the hub. And that hub talks with the front switch at your front doorway, the one at the end of your bed, and the one at your bathroom. And what that system does is it looks for movement throughout the apartment. Now the movement it looks for are purely X's and Y's, like you're reading a map, longitude and latitude. So as you're moving across the apartment, it's triangulating between the two sensors. It's going, okay, this is where they're here, they're walking this way, they're this way. So it can actually follow you through by using the triangulation. What happens is the minute that it recognizes you walking through from a triangulation, this sensor is picking you up at the front door, the one in the bedroom is waiting for you to get there. If all of a sudden you don't get there, if you fall, this sensor's going, okay, where did they go? And this one's going, where did they go? So the second that you're gone, you disappear there, it knows that there's an incident that happened right there in the room. And at that moment in time, it then sends out a fall alert that will show up as a ping on your phone that says that there's been a possible fall in your apartment at this time and at this location. So it's HIPAA compliant. It's delivered on the current systems that are already in place in the community. When you look at senior housing, when they opened the Forest at Duke, when you guys first moved in here, prior to opening it, they did an exhaustive search to say, what is the best technology that we can install in this community to make sure that our residents are the safest they could possibly be. The state requires pull cords that you have in your bathroom. They added on to that by adding pendants. So the pendants that you wear on your wrist is a second layer. Now, the fall detection system is actually a third layer of protection for resident safety for the community. So when you look at the commitment that they make in terms of making sure that you're caring safe, is absolutely tremendous how far they've gone.
Where will it show up so the nurses will see it?
So on my phone, when I get one of these alerts, it pings on my phone the second I get my phone up here. So literally once an alert comes through, this one pings. I get all of them for all of our properties all across the country. So I get all of the test ones, but it shows up on my phone right here. So when a caregiver is working with other residents, she's going to look on here, she can go, okay, there's a fall in Clark's room, which is 106, whatever the number is, at this time. And then so either she takes it shows up on the nurse's phone and on the 2 tech's phone. So they can see who's taking it and who's going to take care of somebody right away. The same way that you would do with your pendant system. If you were to push the button, it shows up on their different phones. As soon as one of them says taken, when they push on it taken, it lets the others know that someone's on their way to go do it. So you don't have 5 people showing up there, but that someone's going. We've heard from other people in a few of the other apartments and on the different floors that they had pushed the pendant, they had moved in a month ago or so, and they pushed the pendant. It took a long time for someone to show up. There was a fail in the system where it wasn't being alerted to the caregivers. And we just tested it across the way with Mr. Miller. Mm-hmm. We just tested it with Mr. Miller. He pushed it on it was sitting in the room here, pushed it, and in less than a minute, the caregiver came running around the corner. She's like, is everything okay? And so the good news is everything's back up and running smoothly now. If there was an issue before, know that the bugs got worked out. But so in your apartments, the best thing you can do is, always push the pendant. If you can push the pendant, push the pendant. If you're in the bathroom and you're not wearing the pendant, if you can reach the pull cord, pull the pull cord. If you can't push the pendant and you can't reach the pull cord, then you always have the Caspar system as the backup fall detection for you. So you'll know that there's someone coming for you for your safety.
What's in the backup system?
It's called Caspar. It's fall detection. Fall detection is the backup.
Yeah.
So
which is the backup? I'm not even sure.
This or many. There you go. So Caspar uses the light switches to sense your movements.
Oh.
You may end up having a pendant fall alert where someone comes because you push the pendant, but Caspar may alert as well. You might get both of them. Yeah. But I'd rather have 2 people show up than no one at all.
No one.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a meeting last week.
Yeah.
In which a lot of the administrative staff came to talk to us about different issues in the building. And if I'm not mistaken, when they were talking about Caspar, one of the things that they said was it could also detect, I'm wondering, are there different levels of...
Great question. Thank you for asking that.
Because they said it could detect if you got up, if you were in the habit of getting up twice a night, that if you started getting up 5 times a night, that would be reported. Is that right?
So we've turned off all of those. What we want to do first is start with fall detection first.
Okay.
Caspar has a lot more capabilities as a part of the system, but we wanted to start at a base level and say, okay, we want this purely as an extension of our nurse call system. And so it's going to be purely fall detection first. Now, down the road, if people want to utilize Caspar's additional capabilities that can look at sleep quality, number of bathroom visits, restlessness, elopement, different things that people might have issues with. There's some great features and some huge benefits. Could you imagine if someone could have told you before you got a UTI that you needed to be on antibiotics and what that would do for your life? Or if someone said, hey, Mr. Lyons, you're only sleeping an hour or 2 a night. You used to sleep 5 to 6 hours a night. Have you changed your medicine recently? Oh, by the way, I just went to see the doctor, to the cardiologist, and now I'm not sleeping. Go back to the cardiologist, get something else, get sleeping better, because we know how important sleep is for us, in our quality of life.
So for these additional options, Is there an additional fee?
I don't think so. I think
No, there's no additional fee.
It's just in the level of services provided.
And we would require your consent to turn that
Oh,
feature
okay.
on.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. What other questions? It's not very often I get to be with three lovely ladies in the afternoon and talk about technology and fun things. Or four.
There's 6 of us, actually.
Wow. They're coworkers.
We've heard this.
Oh. You're getting tired of being called the lovely lady, I'm sure.
No, ma'am. Thank you for that.
Yes.
We will be sending out information to the families. It's a one-sheeter, but we'll also be providing it to each household probably by tomorrow morning, just so you can refer back. And if you have any questions, just let Jen know, and I can show up and answer any questions personally.
No, we appreciate the time.
No, thank you for your time.
I would like to hear a little bit more about the questions that you've gotten about an invasion of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've gotten more than a few.
So we did, and so regarding the invasion of privacy, so there's no cameras, and also informed consent came up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we've put out there and was discussed is that Caspar has the ability to help a lot if you want it.
Yeah.
You have the right to decline it if you don't want it. You can opt out,
Right.
and we'll turn it off. We'll blacklist. We'll black site. We'll basically turn off that apartment where you live or where someone lives completely. No fall detection, no data, no support, no nothing. You can completely opt out. Don't know why anybody would. It doesn't cost you anything, and really the only benefits are helping your quality of life. But that's personal choice.
So yeah, it is all your choice. If you do not want it in your room, we will turn it off.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the news at all, then that's what you say now, but you get suspicious about where you all may be
Mm-hmm.
in 4 or so years, 2 years from now.
So Caspar's been around since 2014, and really Caspar is all about trying to help people's quality of life. It really started off as a smart home product where people could use voice to turn on and off their lights, because what they realized, one of our founders, his father was physically frail and couldn't move well. For him to go turn on a light switch across the living room was a lot of work. And so he's like, how do I make my dad's life easier? So, he created the ability to use voice to turn on and off all the lights. Well, the next part of it came in. Dr. Saxena's grandmother lives in India, and she had a fall in her apartment. No one found her for 6 hours. And these are 2 professor emeritus from Stanford. Dr. Cheriton went on to work for Google. He's like the number 3 employee at Google, super smart guy. Both of them are professor emeritus at Stanford. And they're like, okay, we're super smart guys in computer science. What can we do in order to help make our grandparents' lives better? And so voice technology, using voice to control the functionalities of your house. But also, how do we do fall? How do we get help to people in case they need it? How could he have helped his grandmother? So in addition to being able to detect fall in robotics, that's where Dr. Saxena, who's our president, that's where he specializes in. How do you use motion detection to help people's lives, to make it better? What other impacts can you uncover that could help people's health outcomes? All of it being completely optional to what people want and what they don't want. But when you look at the reason that these 2 gentlemen got into the business, I'll tell you what, it lit my life up. I'm like, okay, that's really amazing that people can do these kind of things, to help people's lives. I've got an 82-year-old dad who, good news, bad news, had 3 falls in 24 hours. The 3rd fall broke his shoulder and got him concussed. Those things happen. The first 2, he bounced like a bumble, didn't hurt him a bit, got right back up again, and kept going. But if my mom or I hadn't been there, how long would he have been on the floor before someone would have found him? It would have been hours.
Is there any way of helping the staff when they come and they need to turn off the pendant? I know they find it, I'm sure you'll terribly frustrating to try and turn off the pendant.
That's a question for Jennifer. Turning off the pendant, Jennifer, or resetting the pendant?
Miss Smith, I can train the staff on 5 in your area so they can understand it a little better, okay? I can go through another training with them.
Well, my sympathies are all with them.
With the staff. I will train the staff, Miss Smith.
It's a fascinating, brand new field that I don't think I'm the only one that's having difficulty understanding.
Sure.
So I would really appreciate if you could send me some basic information. How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do, and I'm always available to have a conversation with you.
I'm
and
sure
let you
you've
know.
got printouts. I'm sure you've got in-depth studies of how the whole business
This
is put
technology is
together and
amazing
works.
things.
Yeah.
Super smart guys making these things work is like
Right.
mind
But it's
blowing.
a super smart guy that can put it on paper so you can understand it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm asking you for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. We can get that.
We can get that to
sorted.
you. Not a problem.
And in terms of, sorry, this is the.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
But in terms of going back to the smartphone application, that's totally up and would be an added expense. I would expect that. But what if you wanted it like, I'm being ridiculous, tomorrow? What if I don't want to, what if I want it before June plus? On like the blinds, they're very difficult.
So you're talking about the smart home
The
controls?
smart home
Yeah,
controls.
yeah. Is that a pipe dream on my part?
It
I
can-
think that's something that I would have to work through with Leanne. I don't think at the moment we have smart blinds installed.
Well, I didn't
in the
mean
room.
now, but I'm.
Yeah, I
in
know.
summer.
But yeah, I think that's something that we can make realistic. We just have to take time and plan it
But
appropriately.
it is possible.
It's possible.
Well, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. We just got to
And the blinds, so front doors, blinds, thermostats, lights.
Thermostats.
Those are the four basics of any home right now in terms of being able to use voice or smart things for. And so the opportunity of the blinds being done today is much better than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, but there's more choices now in how.
So there's more equipment than just, it has to come in to make something
make that
that's
happen.
complicated. What would be the simplest application that wouldn't take the time that a blind would? The thermostat?
The thermostat mixed with the Alexa.
That would be a shorter
You
period.
could do Alexa in your light switches today.
Could you really?
Yeah. I mean, literally, if I went and got an Alexa, I could put it in your room, and I could have the guys turn it on today, if you wanted it. But there's steps that the community needs to go through. You guys have your resident committees to approve things,
Yeah.
and those types of things. But the possibilities are, from a smart home standpoint, are all there. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting them through your committees and approve their right approvals.
Yeah, but our initial initiative is to get through the fall detection piece
Well,
properly.
I
know.
I'd be pressed.
Yeah. So those are realistic expectations.
Well, I'd see how you do. One little step at a time, one little
Yeah.
fall at a time.
No fall. I don't want anyone to fall.
No falls.
But if you do, I want to make sure we're there to take care of you.
So,
Will these people give you?
no, they're going to continue. Always will have those. You always want those because those work in the entire building. So anywhere on the 5 floors, the pendants work. The Caspar system only works in your apartment. So in your room. So that's why you always want to wear your pendant. So you have, special coverage throughout the entire building. Because if something happens on any of the floors, we want to make sure that we can get to you as quickly as possible. Super important, but great questions. Thank you.
So thank you.
So did you start on the first floor?
We did.
Worked our way up.
This is your last hurrah?
This is our best hurrah.
Okay.
No, it's been fun. Been great questions, and it's been a learning experience for all of us. Making sure that people understand, choices and options and what's the reasoning behind it. But at the end of the day, as you said, rights of privacy, informed consent, those are all personal choices, and you have those personal choices 100%.
Yeah.
Any apartment can be turned off, and so the options are there. It's your right to have it or not have it.
Yeah.
But it's as I said, the seatbelt story. I felt extremely violated when the government told me I had to wear a seatbelt until the day I got in a car accident, and I realized that that was a really good idea. My own ego was getting in the way of someone a lot smarter than me. So I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So.
Will the future options be tied specifically to room number and
Correct.
personal name? on it?
No personal names on anything, 100% HIPAA compliance, which is critical to us. You know, we don't want to put anybody at risk
At all.
inside the community, outside the community, anywhere. What are the questions?
Will you come back if we have them?
Yeah.
So either
Definitely.
through Jennifer or Rashad, they can get the questions. If they can't answer them, they can get to me.
Yeah.
But it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to
No,
meet with
thank
you
you for
and
your
spend
time
time with
today.
you. It's been a lot of fun.